Good afternoon. I'm Norm Wernet. I'm president of the Ohio Alliance for Retired Americans. We're the retirees of the greater labor movement throughout Ohio. Let me just say this. We're the old boomer geezers that former member of Congress Alan Simpson pointed out a number of years ago trying to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. But we're using our earned Social Security and Medicare as income and health coverage. It's what we have to do. Let's just remember one thing. Medicare and Medicaid were created 60 years ago this July 30th because the private sector would not create coverage for us as older Americans. I don't know how many of you are on Medicare. I am. All right. How many of you have somebody in a nursing home? You know somebody in a nursing home. 62% of all the Ohioans who are in a nursing home are using Medicaid. That means they've depleted all of their assets. They live on very little income. They are only allowed to keep about $50. That's because of the way we set up. We don't have long-term care really established. There are folks and there are forces. Two of our members of the legislature are here, are part of that caucus to try and build out long-term care. That's what Medicare with Medicaid is about in many instances for us. But Medicaid is much more than that. Here's the story. We have a son. He was in his late 30s. He has a master's degree. He's a zoologist. He's an evolutionary biologist, but without enough work. Something about that word evolution is not acceptable for work in this state. We noticed a spot on his leg when he was home for dinner one evening. It would not heal. So he went to the doctor. Turns out it was a melanoma. It wasn't shallow like they originally thought, it was deep. So he sought treatment. With most of a decade of treatment and follow-up, and a second melanoma on his neck, from here to here, he's healthy. The only reason he's alive, and we are not bankrupt as a family, is because of Medicaid expansion. The Medicaid expansion waiver covered his diagnosis, treatment, and made him healthy again. Medicaid expansion is at risk very plainly in this proposal sitting in front of the Congress, and with the taking apart of our health systems. Remember, we created those systems. We created Medicaid because there is not just long-term care, but there is not a unified health system and a payment that covers everybody in this country. The Affordable Care Act made great strides in that vicinity. But this taking away of money of Medicaid in this state would do devastation. Think about it this way. The older population that's in nursing homes is only 17% of the Medicaid population, but we use 49% of the money. Women and children and families are 53% of the population, but only 23% of the expenditures. The expansion population is like 23, 24% and uses about 23, 24% of the money. Think about what that means. Do you have to have an extra bed in your house for someone who's in a nursing home? I doubt it. What happens when your wife has dementia, and it grows and grows and grows, what happens? We don't have a long-term system to meet that. Medicaid is our backup system. Cutting Medicaid means grandma and grandpa are going to be out of the nursing home. I was raised in Indiana, in a little town called Vincennes. And I just learned that they just tore down, within the last year, they just tore down the poor folks farm. I remember that. At 80 years old, people were out in the back of that grand architectural thing that they all wanted to save. They were tending the fields to feed themselves because they didn't have any income to be able to survive. They didn't have a long-term care system. They shut that down in 1974, but they didn't tear it down until 2024. Maybe they were saving it for the reinstitution of the Poor Folks Farm. Long and the short of this is that Medicaid is here for us because we built that system. We, the people of the United States, said in 1965, it's time to create Medicare and Medicaid for us. We did that. We had the Congress to do that. It's become our way of life. It is now time to make sure that that stays in our lives.